Welcome back to Man Down Sports. As you can see from the thumbnail, we got a jam-packed show for you, man. A lot of basketball topics, a lot of things going on. We want to start with Anthony Edwards and something he said that was very, very, very interesting that a lot of LeBron James fans are probably not going to like. A lot of people in the media probably not going to like because there's a lot of LeBron James fans in the media. But we're going to get to that, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff we got to get to as well. But before we even get started, man, I want to invite everybody to go ahead and go to YouTube channel. Go over to the YouTube page if you're watching us from Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. But if you're watching us from YouTube, make sure you are sub because about 60% of people that watch the videos are not subscribed. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Definitely hit the like button and the notification bell once you subscribe so you can get all our content once it comes out. But without further ado, I do want to get started with what Anthony Edwards had to say. I do also want to mention Austin Reeves, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson. They're over there representing for Team USA, and they're balling out of control. I mean, this is probably going to be something that Reeves, well, all three of them really, but really we've been really waiting for Anthony Edwards to, kind of get into the driver's seat of taking over that NBA league now that LeBron is closer to retirement. You know, Kevin Durant's going to be going into year 17. And right now the NBA seems to be moving in the direction to where they want to market their European players to actually pull more of that European market and get that money flowing through the NBA. So they're making a push for that, but people like Anthony Edwards still got something to say about that. So people just been waiting for him to just step up and do his thing. He had an opportunity to do it in the playoffs this year. But I mean, he did ball out. He did play good, but he just didn't get that much support from his teammates. So hopefully moving forward, we'll see that. And hopefully we see LaMelo Ball take a step forward and all that good stuff, man. And it's good to see Austin Rivers balling out too. But he was on a podcast, and I don't even know if it was a well-known podcast. It's a regular guy like myself that got an interview, and then he asked him that question that most athletes get asked about their GOAT list or their top five all time or their starting five that they will put together. And Steph Curry was asked that. He wasn't asked for his top five, but he was asked for his starting five. Who's your best starting five? And he came out and left LeBron out of his starting five and put Kobe in instead. And I did a video on that. I linked that in the description if you want to go back and watch that. But I did a video on that, and people ripped him in the media. People had not good things to say about him in the media for leaving LeBron off. They said it was hate. They said it was jealousy. They said all of the above, right? Then a couple of weeks or maybe a month later, Julius Erving comes out and he gives his top five, not a starting five, a top five on the GOAT list, and there was no LeBron, right? And then now here it is, we got a younger guy. So we had a current player that's playing now that's a contemporary LeBron James, and their idea in the media was that he didn't want to give LeBron props because they're still competing against each other. And then you get an older guy who's been retired for a while, who's an OG in the game, who says the same thing, leaves LeBron out. And now we got a young guy from the next generation that actually looked up to LeBron, who was watching him play since he was a youngin', who still chose Kobe over LeBron. So let me play how he got to his top five, and then I give you my commentary after.
And then if you had the top five all time.
All time. MJ, Kobe, Shaq, that's three. Allen Iverson, and I mean, of course, KD for me.
So that was him. He named MJ first. He didn't say he was naming them in order, but let's assume he was. MJ first, Kobe two, which makes sense because everyone tries to give Kobe his credit for mimicking MJ and pulling it off. But at the same time, they try to give him an underhand comment or compliment where they say, yeah, you pulled it off, nobody else could. But since you tried to be like MJ, we're going to use that as a negative against you. So we're going to put other players like LeBron, who's totally different from MJ, above you and use it as an excuse. You just a lesser version of MJ, right? The dumbest thing I ever heard. If you consider MJ the best player you ever seen, and he's a standard, then yeah, everyone was trying to copy him, but no one got close enough to the standard except Kobe Bryant. He got so close they seem identical on both ends of the floor, right? So it's not a knock that Kobe Bryant was able to pull off the mimic of what the standard is, which is MJ for all wing players at least, but almost really you can say for all players, period, by how he carried himself and how he approached the game and how he perfected everything he could perfect basically on the basketball court. You know, Kobe did that. So there's no surprise when players are looking for people to look up to and looking for people who they can take certain things from and add it to themselves. They're looking at someone who's one of the most technically sound basketball players that ever played. You know, there's not a lot. I mean, LeBron James is a great player, so there is some things that you can look at technique wise that he mastered or that he does very well. But Kobe mastered more and does more things on the elite level. So if I'm studying someone, if I'm a boxer and I want to find a boxer that I need to study, if I'm studying the sweet science and I want to study a boxer, yeah, I'm going to go to Mayweather over a Deontay Wilder. Why would I go to a Deontay Wilder that's throwing haymakers and who don't have the sweet science down to a T? Why would I be studying Deontay Wilder when I can study Mayweather? So that's the comparison I got with players like Michael Jordan, players like Kobe Bryant, players like Hakeem Olajuwon. You can study that, you can practice those things, you can make those things perfect on the basketball court if you take heed to it. I can't study what LeBron does because I'm not 6'8", 270 that runs as fast as a guard and jump as high as anybody that's jumped in the NBA and very strong. Like I can't go practice that. I can't study that. I can't get on film and study running a 4.4 on the basketball court and jumping a 45-inch vertical. I can't study those things. I can study Kobe. I can study Mike. I can study Hakeem. I can't study Shaq if I'm a big man. I can't study that. That's very hard, right? That's why the big men call Hakeem, and that's why the winged players was calling Mamba and going to the Mamba Academy, right? So a lot of people are going to be mad at this once everybody wake up and they hear that Anthony Edwards, once again, another player leaving LeBron James out of his top 5. You know, so how he got in the GOAT debate, who knows? How he got past Kobe and Magic in that debate. I mean, I just recently moved him past Bird on my list. Maybe Magic. Like I teeter-totter on where I got LeBron. I know my 1, 2, and 3 is solid with Mike, Kobe, and Kareem. You know, you can't say Mike's the best and then say Kobe's the closest thing to Mike and then put Kobe number 12. Right? I mean, that just don't even make sense, right? The people that do that are probably only comparing resumes, storylines, narratives. I admit, when you look at the resume, Kobe has a good resume, but you can always write off half of his, not half, but you can write off the beginning of his resume, with sitting the bench behind Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel his rookie season. And getting drafted by a team that already had Shaq and winning your first 3 rings as a number 2 versus a number 1. So you can always write off Kobe if you're being malicious and not being honest about yourself and make him take a hit on his resume with those type of things, right? Then you can talk about how LeBron averages more rebounds, more assists, things of that nature, right? So yeah, it's parts of his resume you can write off. The storyline as well. The storyline is easily find chinks in the armor of Kobe's storyline and the narrative that's following him. Because media members have been saying so much. He's just another lesser version of Mike. He copied Mike, so he lose points for that. He played with Shaq. He was a number 2. Just all these things they throw out there. So you can do that with his resume, his narrative, and the storyline, but you can't do it with his game. He really mastered basketball on both ends of the floor. You can't do it with his game. You can do it with his resume. You can do it with his narrative. You can do it with his storyline. And with LeBron's resume, narrative, and storyline, he played, and he's built like a truck. So he's durable. So he's played 20, going on 21 years. Got the scoring title from Kareem. Stuff in the stat sheet in other ways as well. So he's going to be somewhere close to top 10 in assists and rebounds, and number 1 in points. 4 rings, 10 finals appearances. Like, he's got a ironclad paper resume. But then when you start to move the conversation to basketball on the court and what he mastered, and you start to see how many deficiencies he has in his game, I wish he would have concentrated more on becoming a complete and close to perfect player versus concentrating more on how he can get the correct story out in the media, and be talked about and be pushed in the GOAT debate, and how he could manipulate franchises and jump from franchise to franchise and grab player after player and just move them around a chessboard like chess pieces. Let's bring D Rose and D Wade and Isaiah Thomas, and let's bring all these dudes. Oh, it didn't work. All right, let's move them in. Let's move them away before the All-Star break. Hey, go get J.R. Smith from New York. Hey, I'm going over to Cleveland to play with Kyrie. Can you bring me Kevin Love? Trade the first pick in Andrew Wiggins for Kevin Love. I'm going to Miami. I'm playing with Wade. Bosh, can we come here? Let's sit down and talk to Pat Riley, and let's match our salaries up so it can work. And then I'm gonna leave y'all again. And it just all this team hopping. I'm gonna go to LA and do the same thing. AD, force a trade out. Clutch Sports is your agent. So I got you. We gonna do all this maneuvering, just all that manipulation, just for his storyline to be better than someone's, just so he can put himself in the right situations and shuffle the deck and reshuffle the deck and get a new deck. Just all that stuff that he did just for his storyline to look good. He could have spent all that time on actually making his game better than Kobe's, but he didn't. So for that, I can't reward LeBron James for that. So, Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner are really good friends. They have a podcast together called the Point Forward Podcast. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. They go beyond sports with their podcast. They've invited financial gurus and financial advisors on their show to talk money and talk finances. And Iguodala is a very money savvy person. So the podcast is good. And I like people that are honest. And Iguodala seems to be honest. And he goes on Gilbert Arenas podcast, who is a really good podcast. They push out some really good content. And you get this honest guy like Iguodala, who's not afraid to speak his mind and not afraid to say what he feel like is the truth, along with Evan Turner on this podcast with Gilbert Arenas, and his panel are very raw. Right, not in a bad way, but like, look, they giving it to you unfiltered, and that's a wonderful thing, right? So, I listened to that podcast, man, and with so many gems and so many nuggets dropped by Iguodala and Evan Turner, and of course Gilbert Arenas as well. And I'm gonna break it up in about three videos, man. So this will be the one of the videos that I break it up because he said some interesting things. But this just happened to be him speaking on the MVP that he won. And of course, you can see from the thumbnail if you're watching this video, the MVP he won that everyone feels like maybe Steph should have got. A lot of people also think Iguodala deserved it. but there's also some people who feel like Iguodala didn't deserve it because of what his average was and what LeBron's average was and whatever the case may be. So let's hear what Iguodala had to say about it.
Do you feel like you deserve that Finals MVP for what you were able to do?
I had a really good conversation with Trevor Ariza. Shout out to Trevor.
TA.
That's TA. It's my man. Because we spent some time in LA. I mean, in Miami. We played in Miami together for a year. So it's funny. I've been on TA since high school. Hassan Adams was my roommate.
Okay, I saw, yeah.
And TA, they played together at Westchester.
Yep.
So I've been on them since Nike camp.
Mm-hmm.
And TA and I got the really chance to lock in. And I was joking one day. I wasn't joking, but I was being serious. Because you know how we in the league for so long, and you see all the nasty stuff that goes on behind closed doors in the league, and you kind of lose the love of like accolades. Like we love the game of basketball. You went through it. I've said this about you many a time.
All the time. You said
In the
I'm
book,
like,
Rashad McCants one of the best basketball players I ever seen.
you say this all the time.
I ever seen.
No, we got the book over there. We know.
Stop,
Don't
man.
proceed, but no.
Stop.
But no, I say the same shit.
No, but he stopped like tables and be like, no, if people ask, he'd be like, Kobe, Rashad McCants is the best basketball player I ever seen. I'm
And
like,
so-
He deserved the crown.
But you see what goes on in the league sometimes, and it's like, fam, like sometimes it don't even be about who. And so I don't really appreciate certain things the way I should just because the other stuff weighs on it. And I'm just like, man, I don't really care. So I always say like, yeah, like Steph deserved, I think he did deserve one before the one he got.
Yeah.
Right? I did think he deserved one. So I always say like, if it was mine, like cool. I know the impact I had on the game, but I don't need anyone to tell me that I did.
Right.
Like I'm cool with that. Yeah. So I say all that to say, like, man, I don't even care. Like, yeah, Steph should have had mine. Like, I don't really care. Like, I think Steph should have had it. But then I'm talking to Trevor Ariza. He was like, bro, you bugging.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever say that ever again. And once Trevor said that to me, he kind of checked me. He was like, yo, dog, like,
You bugging.
we were in Houston and we knew if you played well, y'all were going to beat us.
Period.
But the average fan who argues with all our opinions every day, they don't know what the best players in the world are saying. Like, and when Trevor said that, he was like, Dre, I'm in Houston and we can't get past y'all because you. And I'm like, man, Steph is cooking. He was like, no, bro, if you're having a good game, we can't win. His conversation, I was like, no, I know exactly what I did in that series. So, yeah, it's where it's supposed to be. At the house.
At the crib.
No, that's no.
Joe,
And then,
what did Max Kellerman say?
I want Iguodala.
But what's so funny? But if you think about like the part I add, that the starting five was getting their ass whooped,
Yeah.
right? Now, if they're going by the same thing that I was looking at, then it is the second unit. Because the starting five, you lost.
Yeah.
You lost. You lost.
You lost.
So let's
Straight
go
up.
give it to LeBron.
yeah.
But the only thing I will argue, there is a Curry effect.
Yeah.
There is a Curry effect.
Yeah, no. Listen,
There is.
he played. If he won, I don't think he would have appreciated it because I don't think he thought he did enough to really like.
Take
It
it over
wasn't
the
the
top.
Curry. It wasn't the Curry style, right?
And
It wasn't-
Dover damn near was in the running too for MVP, low
No,
key.
seriously.
Like, to be honest with you. And long story short, bro, like we forget sometimes that like, not saying he's a middle of the pack player, but like if it falls down this low, you deserve it. Like you understand what I'm saying? Like the past one or two, they were supposed to get it. It was set up to get it. Media set up to get it and everything. Like if it came down this low, it ended up. No offense.
No, I get it.
Like,
No, it makes sense.
That's where it's supposed to be. Like, nah, shut that shit up. Like he gonna get the next 4 or 5 years for you to write about him, and like he'll figure it out. But like other than that, it's my shit.
Apologize for that one being so long. That was about a 3.5 minute segment. But I mean, they said a lot of good things, man. Evan Turner even said some good stuff toward the end. But look, man, if it falls down this low, like seriously, if you win a championship and the voters are looking at it and they're saying the number one guy, the number two guy, not even the number three guy, actually was the biggest catalyst for why they pulled this thing out, and they got to go to a guy that was coming off the bench and Iguodala, then the number 1, 2, or number 3 guy didn't earn it. Like, you got to go take it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know how much, like, even in boxing, when you fighting the champ, you can't have a draw with the champ and expect the decision to go your way. You got to actually beat the champ, make it obvious. So what Evan Turner was saying is Steph Curry went into that finals already with all the advantages going his way on being able to get that MVP. All he had to do go out there and perform like one, and he didn't. Now, when you look at his numbers and you Google his numbers right now, will his numbers look like he earned it over Iguodala? Sure, on the surface. Sure, on the surface. So on the surface, what you'll see is Steph averaged 26 points. He averaged about 6 assists and about 5 rebounds. And you be like, all right, man, that's MVP stuff. And then you look at Iguodala, and he averaged about 16 points, about 6 rebounds, and about 4 or 5 assists. And you're thinking like, man, why the heck did Iguodala get MVP again? Well, when you go below the surface, you notice that Steph's average that season was about 24 points. 24 points. So, Shaquille O'Neal on TNT, when he talked about playoff performances and what the old heads told him when he was in LA, they said, whatever your average is during the season, if you're the number 1 player for your team, or even the number 2 player, your average got to go up 5 or 6 points, in the playoffs. Like, you got to up it. And that's why when Shaq got in the playoffs, man, he was averaging 35, 36 a game, right? Kobe was averaging 32. Like, they upped their game. This is what they're telling them in LA, right? Steph went from 24 to 26 points. He upped his game 2 points, right? His assists went down. His rebounds went down. So he went down in assists and rebounds. They needed those. They what he gave them in the regular season, they needed at least that. He couldn't get them what he gave them in the regular season. He dropped in assists, dropped in rebounds, and went up 2 points in his points a game. On the other hand, Iguodala was averaging about 6 points in the regular season, right? And then he went out with 16 points. So he upped his game. His assists went up. His rebounds went up. Everything went up for Iguodala, and his points went up tremendously. Like, I'm gonna get you the extra 10 points that Steph's supposed to be getting us. I superstar, right? But then that's not the only thing Iguodala did. On top of giving them 10 extra points, more rebounds, more assists than what he did in regular season, I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna guard the best player in the league at the time, LeBron James, or at least maybe the second best player, depending on where you got Kevin Durant. I'm going to guard the first or second best player. I'm going to guard this all-time great in his prime with no double teams most of the time, with single coverage. I'm going to let him beat me up. I'm going to take all that punishment on defense. I'm going to just put myself out there and exert everything on defense, and then I'm going to give you extra 10 points from what I gave you in the regular season. I'm gonna give it to you in this finals, and I'm gonna hit game-winning threes. Right, so that's what Iggy did. What did Steph Curry do on the defensive end? Kyrie Irving got hurt in the first game, so he had to guard Dellavedova, and Dellavedova gave him work. And then on the other end, who was guarding him? Dellavedova. So you got this Dellavedova guy who's out of the league now, who gave you fix on offense and defense and made you work for every bit of everything you got. The extra 2 points you gave him made you work for it all. Everyone watched that series and saw how Steph was really kind of struggling. Everyone saw it. And the voters voted. And they voted for Iguodala. Go figure. They wouldn't have won it. And just like Iguodala said, look, man, I think I deserved it. He said at the beginning, basically he was saying, I pity the fact that Steph Curry didn't have a MVP. Everybody in the Warriors organization pitted them because the first one they got, the first championship they got with that group, Iguodala got the MVP. Steph didn't get it. Then they lost the next one. Then KD came and took all the shine, and KD got the next two. Right? So Iguodala said, man, I do believe Steph should have got one. Out of the three, he should have got at least one of those before he actually got the one that he got. He earned against the Celtics. He wasn't saying that he felt like Steph Curry really earned it. He said, I think he should have got it, man. What he means to this organization and what he means to the NBA, they should at least just gave him one of them. Right? Just give him one. Nah, he said, so if it had to be mine, yeah, I wish he would have given mine. Until someone talked sense in his head, Trevor Reason, and said, hell nah, you earned it. They wouldn't have won. They wouldn't have won without you. And we knew we would have beat y'all, talking about the Rockets, if it wasn't for you there. So nah, that's your award. So he said at the end of the day, man, nah, I know what I did in that series, and that award is exactly where it needs to be at my house, right? And the last thing I say about this, Gilbert Arenas even second that, Trevor Ariza, Evan Turner, Iguodala, the Gilbert Arenas, they all was on the same accord. Gilbert Arenas said, look, nah, the starters laid the egg, right? On top of the fact that Steph Curry averages didn't explode and really take off in the playoffs, much different than what his regular season was, but Iggy's did. And on top of him getting worked out by Dellavedova on both ends of the court, right? He was also 2 games he failed to get his average, right? If his regular season average was 24, he had a game where he had 22, failed to get his 24. He had a game where he had 19, failed to get his 24. And he had a game where he had 23, failed to get. So 3 games, half the games, he failed to get his average. Not to mention, he finished with a -6 in the plus minus one game, -4. I think he was in negative 3 times, maybe twice, just twice. He was in a negative twice in his plus minus for those games. So, I mean, the starters was getting work. Iguodala, he was in the plus all 6 games. Right? He had a positive plus minus all 6 games. Steph didn't. And Steph didn't reach his average 3 times. Right? So, I mean, you gotta look a little bit deeper. And I'm with Iguodala, and I'm with everybody else that you heard speak. Iguodala earned that MVP. Steph didn't. But Steph definitely earned the one he got against Boston, and Kevin Durant definitely earned the 2 he got against Cleveland when he was in with the Warriors. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Go down in the comments, let me know, do you think Iguodala has a point that their MVP trophy is exactly what it needs to be, which is at his crib? So let me know in the comments. All right, so moving right along with the rest of the interview that Iguodala had on the Gills Arena. It was a lot of good stuff that was coming out of that episode, man. Y'all got to go check it out. I'll probably leave a link in the description for you. But they got to talking about, because while they was talking about the Finals MVP and all that stuff, and Gilbert Arenas asked them about how it looked like the referees was trying to give the Cleveland Cavaliers games. And Iguodala just sunk in his chair and was like, oh my God, you seen that too? Right? So I don't know which finals he was talking about. I don't know if he was talking about the one they won or the one when they won without KD, or the one they won with KD. Because I know it was a gentleman's sweep. When KD came out, it was one gentleman's sweep and one sweep. And those losses was crazy. I want you to hear exactly what they said about how the NBA works and how the refereeing and the whistle works when it comes to things like that.
But if I say that, as players, we can't say so. You just got to play along. You got to play the game. But when you think about it, it's like, how many games was this happening?
Real
I'm
shit.
like,
I-
what's-
No,
like,
you currently have no association with the league, obviously.
No,
so.
I mean, because I was betting then.
I looked at my man. I looked at one rap and I'm cool with him. Something happened. I'm like, yo, y'all for real? Y'all cool?
For real?
I was like, y'all good? And he was like, I'm like, come on, man. The game over, fam. We gonna win, fam. I'm like, no, come on, man. Don't do this to me, man. Like, you gonna break my whole spirit. Just don't do this.
They give us sex for it. But did you feel that game, that last game where fouls was being called?
No, I tell people all the time, I was like, listen, the closeout game is the hardest game in your life. And they be like, why? And I can't say. I can't say, but I'm like, no, fam, listen, like, this is the hardest game you'll ever play in your life. And ED told you.
Yeah, it's shit. No, I'll tell it. Like,
Go ahead.
You got to be the vehicle.
the vehicle.
Okay, you got to be the vehicle.
No, it's real though.
No, I remember we were about to play Game 7, 2012. So we were about to play the Celtics or whatever.
Game 7.
So I'm hyped as hell. I'm like, yeah, bro, we got a Game 7. Like, woo out the bam. Like, this is gonna be lit. So Eldon's like, you know we're gonna have to win by 15 just to win by 1. So I'm like, what you mean? He's like, bro, this is the NBA, it's entertainment. Like, LeBron is and the Heat are waiting. Would you rather watch the Celtics or the Sixers play the Heat? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm on the team. I wouldn't even watch the Sixers play the Heat type shit. Like,
You got to appreciate it.
but mind you, I'm young, 22, 23. I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? So it's like, so we get in this game, you know how much money the NBA is gonna lose? Like this, you know, type shit. I'm like, I guess, like a decent amount. It's like, would you watch that game next week if it was the Heat versus the Sixers? I'm like, nah. It's like, okay then. So like, that's why I'm telling you, take M's and M's from this. I'm like, what? He's like, millions of memories, because this is entertainment.
Damn, that's a bar.
And he said, as long as you know that, don't act like your OG ain't tell you.
That's crazy.
That was my second year, 2012. I remember
Elton used to give me crazy.
But as I said,
no, that's real.
you got to win by 15 because you have
They
to
win
be up,
by 1.
You have to be up so much that don't affect it.
And he's just like, they're well aware of the storyline. It's not like nothing like, it's a consumer base. Like, I understand everything. Like, we all love it. But like, when you sit there, it's just real shit to know. When I would go into certain games, I tell young dudes the same thing. Like, yo, we got to win by 15 and win by 1. And I understand it. Like, shit, they gotta get that. We all got, and you know, when we go to the union, we all like, how the money turn out? What, like, when y'all ran through everybody early,
we was pissed.
We had to get back something. Like, you know what I mean? TV money dropped. We like, it's fucking up the weed.
Yeah.
You're fucking up the bread.
Because
Man, I don't know if you heard that part he said at the end. I'm gonna try to address everything that I can remember, but let me start at the end where he said the year that the Warriors was beating everybody, just running through everybody. He said at the end of the year when the players union got together, and you know how the revenue split goes with the owners and the players. Well, I don't know the 100% specifics on it, but it's a revenue split. It might be like maybe 60-40. I don't know. So whatever they get from the TV deals and the advertisements and all of that money, the ticket sales and all that stuff, the owners get all that, and they split it with the players, like everybody's salary and all that other stuff is based on what the NBA brings in annually, and then the owners are also split their revenue as well. So put it this way: if you're a team like the Charlotte Hornets, who are a small market, who your franchise don't bring enough fans, or you don't sell enough merch, so you're not really making as much as a Laker franchise would be making, it's still cool, because as long as the Lakers are successful, then that means the NBA as a whole is successful with how much money they bring in, and it's more money to split between all the owners because they split that money, right? So if you have data as a NBA front office guy, or as the NBA commissioner, you say, look, I know for a fact when this team in New York, this team in LA, this team in San Francisco, this team here, I know they're bringing in so much money. I know if they're successful and their fans are really engaged and they go far in the playoffs, then we're going to get X amount of money, which is a large amount of money. Let's say, I don't know, let's say 6 billion. Let's say you bring in 6 billion. But when those teams are not successful, you only bring in half of that, 3 billion. Right? So it's not hard to sit down amongst 30 team owners and say, would you rather split 6 billion or split 3 billion? Right? And I know what you're thinking. Hey, man, money is money. If I'm getting that much money, it doesn't even matter. I want my team to be successful. But some teams like Michael Jordan own, like the Charlotte Hornets, look, man, if you get that word, y'all just not gonna be successful because it's not beneficial for the league as a whole. We gotta put our eggs in certain baskets, right? And that's going to be more money for you. So, that's how that works. And then what Evan Turner was just explaining is he was like, when we came back to that union and found out that we got less money because the Warriors was too good, and the Warriors was beating everybody, and there wasn't enough games on TV, and all the networks that was paying for certain games, they wasn't getting satisfied because they was only getting 4 games. It was sweeps. We only got 4 games. Imagine the year that Kevin Durant was with the Warriors, and they swept the Cavs in the finals and almost swept them two years in a row if they didn't give them a game. If you go back and watch that game, or even look at the numbers, because they cheated so hard for the Cavs that they couldn't even hide it in the stat sheet. Most of the times when they calling the game a certain way, they're able to do it where at the end of the game, when the fans look at the stats, they can't recognize it. Like, look, they got the same amount of free throws, right? So they able to hide it because, hey, look, if I see the team that we're trying to handicap go on a run, I can slow them down with certain fouls. It don't have to be shooting fouls, but that's going to do certain things. I might put one of their players on the bench early, or I might just slow momentum up by getting a foul here. Now they got to guard a certain way. You get what I'm saying? Like, it ain't always a free throw it's not always a free throw discrepancy, right? So I say all that to say this. Evan Turner was explaining the series against the Celtics, and I don't know if he said 2012. I gotta check. I'm pretty sure it was the Boston Big Three, but I don't know if it was the year after they won the championship. But I do know the year that they did win the championship, and the Celtics was so good during the regular season where everybody knew they was going to the finals. I mean, they was just so good. And they got in the daggone, I want to say the first round against Philly, and they could not handle them. Elton Brand, Evan Turner, and they had this kid that was coming off the bench that was a second-year player. I think his last name was like Lavoy or something like that. He didn't even stay in the league long. He was just a low Kendrick Perkins, Garnett. Nobody had no answer for him, man. This kid was all over. I need to look his name up, man. Elton Brand and that kid was killing the Celtics. And I want to say they took game 1. I'm like, oh, shoot, what is going on? And game 2 might have been really, really tough. And that's when the referees had to come and help Boston out, right? And the crazy thing, I was rooting for Boston. And when I seen the change in the whistle, I was happy because I was like, yes, because they're supposed to be in a championship. And in my mind, I justified it. Like, I'm okay with them cheating for Boston and giving them the favor because I think Boston is a better team. And Boston was the better team. It was just something, I don't know, man. Philly, I don't know what crawled up Philly's hind parts, man, but Philly was not having it. And if the referees wouldn't have helped Boston out, Philly would have advanced in that series. And I don't know if that's the same year. It might have been the next year, because I think the next year, I got to double check. Because he said 2012, and I'm pretty sure Boston won in 2008. So this was toward the end. So it's not. So forget about the series I'm talking about, but that happened, right? So whatever he was talking about, it was Boston, and they was probably about to go face Miami and LeBron with the Big Three, because the Big Three wasn't formed when Boston won their first championship. So yeah, that's a different time. But that happened. Boston, you can go look it up. The year Boston won the championship, they barely got past Philly, and the referees helped them. So in 2012, what Evan Turner is talking about, is another time where Boston and the NBA had invested interest in Boston playing Miami versus Philly playing Miami, right? And as a business, you got your own right. It's not against the law for the NBA to fix their games. It's not against the law for the NBA to instruct referees to call games certain ways. And if I instruct the referee to call a game that's going to favor one team over the other, it's my prerogative because it's my business. I'm trying to make sure, and me as the NBA commissioner, my number one job is to make money. That's my number one job, to make money. And anything that comes in the way of us making the most money we can make, I have to figure a way to get around it. That's the commissioner's job. His job is not to make sure everything is fair and honest and all this. No, I'm running a business, and the bottom line is I need to make sure I make the most money as possible. And certain teams advancing and certain teams doing good and certain players advancing and certain players doing good is very important. All right. I ended with this. I want you to go back and look at that Phoenix versus Dallas series where Phoenix was obviously the better team. And all of a sudden something switched in the way they was calling the game. Some people think it was Luka that turned the switch on because Devin Booker was taunting them and trash talking about it, and all of a sudden Luka hit a switch. But Luka wasn't the only one that hit that switch. The referees hit a switch as well. And the reason why you never want to trash talk too much is because if you start showing up trash talking and kind of like punching down on a player that's a marquee player that the NBA wants to market, the NBA has invested interest in, the NBA has a plan for them in the future, right? This is somebody that we're going to put the league on their shoulders and make money as long as they're playing in the league. If you ever make them look bad, it's going to be hard to market them. So you never want to do what Devin Booker did to Luka, because now not only did you piss off a great player, you probably pissed off the NBA as well. And now I have to do something to make sure you don't make my product look bad. This is somebody I'm trying to market. Detroit Pistons learned it the hard way. The NBA saw that they could ride Michael Jordan and to financial success. We can put the league on his back, but in order to do that, we need y'all to start playing real basketball and stop playing football on this basketball court. Because when you do that, we're going to be able to see Michael Jordan flying through the sky and dunking and doing all this stuff. Yeah, once you take your hands off of him, Michael Jordan's going to be an unstoppable person for us to market. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why Isaiah keep complaining. Like, man, we had to play a different way with Mike because they wouldn't let us beat him up no more. Right? It was the same thing. That was the formula. So now when you find out the players they're trying to market, and it's easily to find out what players they're trying to market because the teams and the players they put on opening night and the teams and the players they put on Christmas Day, that will tell you which players and teams that the NBA is saying we want y'all to love them because we're going to push them in your face. We're going to market them. Those are the players. Right. So look at the Christmas Day games and that'll tell you who the players is and the teams that the NBA is saying we have a plan for them. Right. Very easy. And when you understand that, then you can bet on some games and make some money because man, I need to bet with what the best interest is for the NBA because that's probably what's going to end up happening. Right. So y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Is Iguodala just talking, or do you think the NBA really do manipulate games through their officiating? And last thing I talk about is the Heat culture, man. We all know Iguodala played 2 years in Miami before he came back to Golden State. And everyone talks about Miami and Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra and how they run their ship over there, and how they make them run, and they talk about the body fat that they come and check on you, and all this crazy stuff, man. Just a plethora of things. If you don't know, go look it up, man. It's very interesting, man. Plenty of players have talked about it, how they run their ship down there in Miami. It's a crazy thing. They're running miles. You have to be in shape. You have to be under a certain body fat percentage and all that good stuff. Your diet's got to be on point. They work them in practice. It's just a different environment, and Jimmy Butler's perfect for it. Well, Iguodala was asked about it, and what he had to say about it was very interesting, man. Listen to what he said.
Don't get in trouble down in Miami.
Out of all places.
Right? Out of all the places,
Yeah.
you don't see guys getting in trouble down in Miami. Fam, Pat got it on lock. And I read Pat's book before I got there called Winners Within. Pat got a good book. And Pat is like, no, I'm here and I'm in the business of winning. And you just spoke about Kobe, you spoke about MJ. They have the most talent and they have the greatest respect of the game with the competitive spirit. They are competing. Mm-hmm. And Miami does such a great job. I don't want to give away their formula, but they track guys all the way from like freshman, sophomore year of high school. And they are identifying Heat players from then. And they track you your entire career, even if you never get there. So when free agency comes or trades come up, they already got their list of guys. They not just trading for anybody. It's like, all right, we got to take this guy. Cool, we going to take him, but we know we shipping him off in a couple weeks anyway.
You know they did at the Bobo. Miami traded him.
No one knows that.
They drafted him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They're
the ones who drafted him and traded him.
They know what they doing down there. And you talk about who cooking, they got Bobby Flay in the kitchen, whipping.
So
and he building the next Bobby Flay, and he building and so it'd be interesting to see who takes over after him, or really after Spo, because Spo got it.
I got this jersey on, man.
And they know their each individual knows their weaknesses. Like Spo got a weakness, but he got somebody next to him, so it doesn't it's just a machine down there, and I ain't got nothing but like the ultimate respect for them, because like for one, the players don't get in trouble, and they gonna make you tap in a part of yourself that you never thought you could tap into.
Man, that's saying a lot coming from someone who won 3 at that time when he was at Miami, 3 championships with the Warriors, but now he has 4 with them. That's saying a lot to be in an environment with Steve Kerr and the greatness of Clay and the greatness of Steph and the greatness of Kevin Durant. And all that experience that Steve Kerr got with Popovich and all that experience he got with Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan and Tim Duncan. Like, there's a wealth of knowledge there. And he played for Mark Jackson as well. So it's so much that Iguodala has been around. And for him to get around Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley in Miami and rave about it like that says a lot about that Miami Heat organization. Now, the first thing that kind of comes to my mind when I hear that is, wow, LeBron was exposed to that. LeBron left Cleveland, a team that never won anything, that really couldn't figure out how to put it together for him, and he left and went to Wade. Wade probably told. Now, I am quite sure that LeBron first asked players that was free agents to come to Cleveland. And I think that was talked about, and Wade was like, man, nah, come to Miami. And he probably told LeBron about Pat and about Eric Spoelstra and all of that good stuff. And LeBron gets there, and it was a wonderful thing. They didn't play amazing right out of the gates. And LeBron probably had some issues with Eric Spoelstra at first because you know how LeBron is. He wants things his way. And when Eric Spoelstra was trying to coach him, he pushed back and went to Pat Riley and tried to get Eric Spoelstra fired. Now you can look this up. He tried to get Eric fired, and Pat Riley was like, hell no, that's my guy. So for Pat Riley to be the type, because as soon as he went to Cleveland and Cleveland tried to bring in David Blatt, and David Blatt wasn't a horrible coach. He was a winner overseas. I still think David Blatt can be a good coach. His career was killed by what LeBron did by getting him fired. But he comes over to the Cleveland after he left Miami, and the first thing, as soon as he started butting heads with David Blatt, and David Blatt wasn't doing anything different from what Eric Spoelstra was doing. He was trying to coach LeBron, and he was trying to coach him in the way that he wanted to coach. LeBron didn't like it, got him up out of there, right? He tried to do that to Eric Spoelstra, but Pat Riley was like, no, right? You need someone that strong-willed and that sure of himself that also has the backing of, look, man, I've done this before, right? So Pat Riley didn't kneel down to LeBron James while he was there. He was there for 4 years. They got 2 out of 4 rings. Eric Spoelstra figured it out. Which is probably what David Blatt could have done in Cleveland. And now look at Miami. Eric Spoelstra is going to be there for the long haul. And they have a stable organization. Even after LeBron left, even after Wade retired, even after Bosh retired, they still have a stable organization who's been to the finals one time in the bubble, one time last year. That's 2. They've been to the finals twice. They've been in the Eastern Conference probably 2 more times since LeBron has left. This organization's been successful, right? That's a testament to Pat Riley, somebody who coached the Showtime Lakers, someone who won a ring as a player, run 3 rings with the Lakers, had a successful team in New York with Patrick Ewing. They didn't win any rings, but they got to one finals. They got to a bunch of other conference finals. Battling against the Bulls. Then he leaves there, go to Miami. He got Mashburn and Zoe Morning and Tim Hardaway, had them rocking and rolling. Then he gets Shaq and D Wade, and he wins a ring with that, right? And then he wins 2 more as a president. He went from player to coach at 1, 2, 3 different places, successful at all stops, winning ring at 2 out of the 3 stops. Right, and then move right into the front office and won rings as a GM or a president. Like, everything he touches in basketball is gold, right? And you would think Phil Jackson would be the greatest coach of all time with how he's done everything. You would think Popovich would be up there, but as a basketball person, period, you can talk about Phil, you could talk about Pop, you can talk about Red Auerbach, but what we seeing from Pat Riley. This might be the greatest executive front office guy, coach in basketball that we've ever seen. He has a organization and a culture with the Heat that has extended over 2 decades almost. That dude is a genius, man, and I think we really got to start really giving him his flowers and talking about him as the greatest coach we ever seen. I really would put him up there. I used to say it was Phil, but it just might have to be Pat, man. I'm really starting to change him into my number 1. Now, one thing he also did that was genius is retiring Michael Jordan's number. Not only is Michael Jordan number retired with Chicago, Pat Riley retired Michael Jordan's number in Miami. And nobody can wear number 23 in Miami because Pat Riley retired it. And his quote was, Michael Jordan was so great, nobody should ever wear this number ever again. So if Pat Riley could have it his way, 23 will be retired in the NBA, period. And that's going to happen. I just don't know when. It's going to happen, right? That's how much the NBA respects and love Michael Jordan. It's going to happen. They're going to retire 23. And the funny thing about it is LeBron has been chasing Michael Jordan his whole career. And imagine coming over to Miami, been wearing 23 since high school, wore 23 in Cleveland. You come to Miami, and the first thing Pat Riley tells you is you can't wear number 23 here. And that's why LeBron was wearing 6 in Miami. I just think that's the funniest thing in the world, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. What you think about what Iggy Iguodala said about Pat Riley. Do you think Pat Riley is the evil genius that everyone say he is? And what do you have him ranked at all time as a coach and as a front office guy in the NBA? All right, I'll catch y'all